Peace, peace. Good evening. Giving praise to the Most High, our Creator, our Heavenly Father. Just sitting back here chilling. See what's going on. I got a topic I would like to bring to the media, and basically what we talking about is on this the topic of this video is called material multiplying is an abomination. No agreement with enemies. And see, the thing is, a lot of people are unaware about material things are an abomination unto the Most High. And I can read in the story, according to the laws and the testimony, what it is that Israel was not to do according to the law when we're talking about multiplying wealth, silver, gold, horses, so forth. The same thing what Solomon did and what Hezekiah did is what brought Israel into captivity and the separation of the nation becoming two kingdoms because of the disobedience of the law. And see, a lot of people is unaware about our people dealing with the heathen and making contract agreement with them is an abomination unto the Most High. It goes against the covenant. And so a lot of people may say, like, damn, like, what's that all about? You know what I'm saying? We talking about people like to have more than one car, more than one house. You know what I'm saying? You can see up in the word what it is that was Solomon did and King Hezekiah when they broke the law that the Most High told them what was to happen. And then you can show how David did things differently versus what King Solomon and what King Hezekiah did. Because every time David conquered a nation, the things that he had took from them, the gold and the silver, he gave to the Most High. He didn't multiply upon himself. This is the thing what Solomon and King Hezekiah did and what made the Most High displeased with them, because we're talking about material, about wealth, right? So when you look at the athletes today and them making a contract with their enemies is the one that gives them wealth. They give them the material things that they desire. And we could read in the law, according to Deuteronomy 7, verse 25 and 26, about the Most High said not to desire their goods. And this is what Achan did and what brought him to judgment, was why the Most High would not fight with Israel due to the breaking of the law. So when you got a lot of people out here that everything is about money, everything is about material things, understand this was a law that was placed in the covenant that our people had went against and still are going against today. So people got to understand what the law means and how it's supposed to be established, right? So I want to go into Exodus 23 and 32. The Most High told, told our people not to multiply. No, this one in Exodus 23 and 32, we're talking about not making a covenant with our enemy, right? So according to the law, it said, thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. It says in verse 33, they shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. Now check this out. And when you see the athletes today, our people who sit up in here where they do this little lottery thing and they get picked to go on such and such a team and make money, understand this, according to the law, you are breaking the commandments of the Most High. Until Exodus 23 and 32, the Most High said not to make a covenant with your enemy, nor with their gods. Now you got brothers and sisters out here who claim to be quote unquote preachers and have a 501c3, that they're able to minister the words according to the heathen's God, and the wealth that they get from the public about the tithes and the offering that's coming from the people, which we know in Deuteronomy 14 that the tithes and the offering was to go to who? The Levites. I understand what we dealing with the breaking of the law. Because that the Most High said everything on this side of the world completely goes against the laws of God. Isaiah 24 word, thus saith the Lord, he maketh it empty, he maketh it waste, he turn it upside down, and he scattered the inhabitants thereof. Meaning, when you're scattered amongst your enemies and you're living in their land, you are following their custom, their ways. You are serving their God. And this is what Israel is doing. Look at the youth today that go and play sports, that get involved in sports. For you mothers and fathers who get your sons involved in sports, and then here go, you get a scholarship. You end up getting picked to play for such and such a team. You're making a contract agreement with your enemy. You give him wealth. This is what Israel was not supposed to do. So again, according to the law, what we say in Deuteronomy 6, verse 17 and 18 will always be reiterated according to the laws and the testimony. It said, ye shall diligently keep the law and the testimony and the commandment which I command you, and then you shall do what's good and right in the sight of the Lord, that he may be well with thee, that ye may go and possess the land which I have sworn unto your fathers. Now, the law that we are dealing with is Exodus 23 and 32, that the Most High said right here, thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. Just because you are amongst your enemies does not give us the right to make a covenant with our enemy in order to supply ourselves with wealth and fortune. And this is what people is doing when you're talking about, you got celebrities who are actors, singers, athletes, and so forth. This is what our people goes against the law, right? Now, according to this, what we see, we know that in Daniel's 3, that Azariah, Mishael, and Hananiah did not bow down to the golden statue. They didn't. And this is why you said when that Exodus 20, verse 4 through 6, it says, thou shalt not make any graven image of any things in the heavens above, and the earth beneath, and the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I, the Most High, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers of the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and show mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandment. When you talk about JC, you're talking about the heathen's God. Understand that. So when we talk about, it said, thou shalt not make no covenant with them. If you go into the testimony in the book of Joshua, the 9th and 10th chapter, you see that Joshua made a covenant with the Gibeonites. And this is a testimony according to the law, what we reading up in Exodus 23 and 32. So Joshua 9 right here, and you go to 15 and saying, and it came to pass when all the kings which were on the side of Jordan, in the hills and in the valleys and all the coast of the great sea over against Lebanon, the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites heard thereof. The same thing what the Most High told us not to even make marriages with these people in Deuteronomy 7, 1 through 3. This is the same nation that the Most High told us not to make marriages with them and not to make a covenant with them. It said that they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and with Israel with one accord. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done unto Jericho and to Ai, they did work willingly and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses and wine bottles, old and rent, and bound up, and old shoes and clout upon their feet, and old garments upon them, and all their bread of their provision was dried and moldy. And they went to Joshua unto the camp at Gilgal, and said unto him and to the men of Israel, we be come from a far country. Now therefore make ye a league with us. Now listen to this, check this out. Exodus 23 and 32 says, thou shalt not make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. And the men of Israel said unto the Hivites, peradventure ye dwell among us, and how shall we make a league with you? And they said unto Joshua, we are thy servants. And Joshua said unto them, who are ye, and from whence come ye? And they said unto him, from a very far country, thy servants are come because of the name of the Lord thy God, for we have heard the fame of him and all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan, to Sihon king of Heshbon, and to Og king of Bashan, which was at Ashtaroth. Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spake to us, saying, victuals with you for the journey, and to go to meet them, to say unto them, we are your servants. Therefore now make ye a league with us. This is our bread we took for our provision out of our houses on the day we came forth to go unto you. But now behold, it is dry and it is moldy. And these bottles of wine which we filled were new, and behold, they be rent. And these our garments and our shoes are become old by reason of the very long journey. And the men took of their victual and asked not counsel as the mouth of the Lord. And Joshua made peace with them and made a league with them to let them live. The prince of the congregation sware unto them. And it came to pass at the end of 3 days after they had made a league with them, that they heard that there were their neighbors and that they dwelt among them. See, they tricked them, right? And the children of Israel journeyed, he said right here, and the children of Israel journeyed and came their cities on the third day. Now their cities were Gibeon and Kephirah, Ebarath, and Karathim. And the children of Israel smote them not, because the prince of the congregation had sworn unto them by the Lord God of Israel. And all the congregation murmured against the princes. But all the princes said unto all the congregation, we have sworn unto them by the Lord God of Israel. Now therefore we may not touch them. This will we do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us because of the oath which we swear unto them. So the Most High told us not to make a covenant with our enemy, which what they did. But the thing was, the Gibeonites deceived Joshua by telling them they was ambassadors that came from a far country, and coming to find out these was the Gibeonites that dwelt in the land amongst Israel. So by them making a covenant with Israel, they had no choice but to honor the covenant that they made with the Gibeonites, because you can't break the law, because he said if you did, wrath was going to come upon them because they broke the law. So with this being said, when we look up in the law, look at what our people do today. When you send your children off to one of these athletes camps, where you want to just get your kids to make money to the point you want to have them play sports, football, baseball, basketball. Then all of a sudden they get into a contract agreement, and then here they go, they signing their life away. Then more than what the contract is stipulated is much more than what's in the fine print, that you don't realize that you don't want to sign your life away. And you are no choice with, so you can't break the contract unless the contract is broken itself. But this is what Israel did, and according to the law, we were not never to do that. So when you see your people up in here that's putting your kids into these, I'm gonna say like this: they want to be rappers, they want to be sports athletes, they want to go into acting. Understand what these people are. You're allowing your children to do that goes against the laws of God, right? Now, I want to go into another law where the Most High told Israel, he said, not to desire their silver or gold. And this is another thing. This is a part where I'm talking about in Exodus 23 and 32, because the fact is, look at what our people is doing. You got kids that get into sport. The first thing they want to do, they want to buy houses after houses, cars after cars. You see what I'm saying? And this is what the Most High tells us about our people being materialistic, that want everything is about wealth, right? So when you go according to the law in Deuteronomy 7 and 25 and 26, look what our people is doing to this day that's going against the law. Deuteronomy 7, 25, he said, the graven image, hold on, Deuteronomy 7, verse 25 and 26. It said, the graven image of their God shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein. For it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thy house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Now look what our people do right now. Now this is just what he's saying, that you never are to bring anything abominable in your house. Even when it was talking about slaying the enemy, it says not to desire of their silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, right? Now, same thing, what Isaiah said, according to 8 and 20, he said, to the laws and to the testimonies, they speak not of these words because there's no light in them. The law was given in Deuteronomy 7, chapter 7, verse 25 and 26. The testimony is given in Joshua 7, when we see what Achan did, right? And this is why the Most High did not go up with Joshua to fight against the Canaanites, right? And this is the testimony according to the law. Look at what our people is doing today, and why the Most High is not with us. Why the Most High is against us. In Joshua 7, From the top it said, but the children of Israel committed a trespass and they cursed things. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed things, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel. Again, according to the law, it says, the graven image of their God shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into the house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. He said, that the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel. And Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Bethaven on the east of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, go up and view the country. And the men went up and viewed Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but few. So there went up thither of the people about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai. And the men of Ai smote of them about 36 men, for they chased them from before the gates, even unto Besharim, and smote them in going down, wherefore the hearts of the people melted and came as water. And Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of the Lord until the eventide, he and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. And Joshua said, at last, O Lord God, wherefore hast thou at all brought this people over Jordan to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites, right? To destroy us. Would to God we had been content and dwelt on the other side Jordan. O Lord, what shall I say when Israel turned their backs before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall environ us round, and cut off our names from the earth. And what wilt thou do unto thy great name? And the Lord said unto Joshua, get thee up wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face. Israel has sinned. Now, the Most High is letting Joshua know that Israel has sinned. He says, and they have also transgressed my covenant, which I command them, for they have even taken of the accursed thing, and I have also stolen, and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. Therefore, the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their back before their enemies, because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you anymore, except you destroy the accursed thing from among you. So, according to this testimony and what we read in the law in Deuteronomy 7:25, is what Achan did. And this is why the Most High will not go up and fight with Israel, that he allowed the Amorites to destroy Israel. He said he sent 2,000 to 3,000 men to go up to fight against Ai, the city of Ai. And 2,000 to 3,000 men was killed due to the fact that Achan went and stole and took things from the other nation, which the Most High told them not to. So when you look at Numbers 16 and 22, what do the Most High say right here? This what Moses asks. He said, if one doeth wrong, would the Most High be wroth with the whole congregation? Yes, he was. So one person stole that the Most High allowed 2,000 to 3,000 men to be killed because of what Achan did. So right here, when you Numbers 16 and 22, and this is what Moses said again. He said, and they fell upon upon their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will thou be wroth with all the congregation? This is what Moses asked. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the congregation, saying, get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And this is when Korah and Abiram try to usurp their authority over Moses and Aaron, that 250 people were swallowed up in the earth. So if one person do something wrong, the whole congregation is affected by it. Numbers 16 and 22 is the same thing what happened in Joshua 7, what we're seeing. The Most High allowed 3,000 of his men to be killed by what he said, the Amorites, when they went into the city of Ai, allowed them to be killed because Achan stole and took something what the law says that he was not supposed to take. So when you look at what our people is doing today, you have your kid that you want to sold off or whatever it is that they chose to do on their own and not consider the fact of what was going to be the consequences in the end. They done got all this money. They done got all these cars. They done got all these houses. And they talking about material wealth. And then it's abomination unto the Lord, unto the Most High. So check this out. When you go into we're going to go into the law about the kings and show you what Solomon and Hezekiah did versus what David did. And you'll see the same thing they did is reason why Israel, the nation was separated and Israel went into captivity in Babylon. Right? So let's go there. I'm going to go there. Deuteronomy 17. And we could go right here. Verse 16. I'm gonna start at verse 15, but the point is what I'm making is in 16 and 17. It says, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, by whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shall thou set king over thee. Thou mayst not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. Our brothers out here that's voting for these heathen and putting them over us, that goes against the law. Now, right here in verse 16, but he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to end that he shall multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Now look what our people is doing. You done sold your soul to the heathen, and with this money that was given to you by the heathen, you done bought all these cars, you done bought all these houses, and you done multiplied them unto yourself. Now check this out. Now we're going to read 1 Kings 10, and according to the law, this is the same thing what Solomon did, what displeased the Most High in 1 Kings. And the title in 1 Kings, the 10 chapters, as gifts given to Solomon. And this is what Solomon did that went against the law in Deuteronomy 17 and 16. It says in the top, and when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him. Now, you know what? I want to go to the point where we're talking about. It said, the servant, it said, blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee to set thee on the throne of Israel because of the Lord. Okay, and she gave him. Okay, we got to start from the top because there's a lot, right? And it said, and when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices and very much gold and precious stone. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything here from the king which he told her not. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom in the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servant, and that 10 dances of his ministers and their apparel, and his cupbearers and his ascent, which he went up into the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her, right? It said, and she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of thy acts of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believe not the word which I came in my eyes and seen it. And behold, the half was not told me, thy wisdom and prosperity exceeding the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servant which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he the king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold and of spices, very great stones and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the navy also of Aram that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty of all mug trees and precious stone. Now listen to everything that was given to Solomon that he multiplied unto himself, which he refused to give to the Most High. Because I'm going to read to you about what Solomon did and what Hezekiah did, and then I'm going to show you the difference between them two or what King David did, and why King David is said to be a leader and commander unto the people, that we are to follow in his footsteps and to study the obedience of King David, or how he was to the Most High. Now watch this. When you get down to 12, and the king made of the almost pillar for the house of the Lord, and for the king's house harps also and psalteries for singer, there came no such almug trees, nor were seen unto this day. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all of her desire, whatsoever she asked, beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servant. Now she went away. Now watch this. Now the weights of gold that came to Solomon 1 year was 603 scores and 6 talents of gold. This is everything that Solomon possessed. Beside that, he had of the merchant men and of the traffic of the spice merchants of all the kings of Arabia, of the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold, 600 shekels of gold went to one target. Remember, according to the law, in Deuteronomy 17, verse 16, right? He said, but he shall not multiply horses unto himself, right? Nor cause the people to return to Egypt. In the end, he shall multiply horses, for as much as the Lord has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more, right? Now, moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best of gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round behind, and there was stay on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the stay. And 12 lions stood there on one side, and on the other upon the 6 steps there was not the like made in any kingdom. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the houses of the forests of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver, and it was nothing accounted in the days of Solomon. Let's go to the law again. He says, what in verse, he said, thy Lord shall choose one from among thy brethren, shall thou set king over thee, and thou hast not may set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt in the end. right? Uh, multiply horses, for as much as the Lord said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Now watch this. When you get to verse 28, this is what exactly what Solomon did when he broke that law at Deuteronomy 17 and 16. Right? And all the kings, Solomon king's vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the houses of the forests of Lebanon were of pure gold, none were silver. It was nothing accounted of in the day of Solomon. For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Aram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. And they brought every man his present vessels, silver and vessels of gold, and garments and armor and spices, look, and horses and mules, a rate year by year. The law again in 16, he says, but he shall not multiply horses to himself, as which what Solomon did. Right? He says, nor cause the people to return to Egypt. Watch this. Because he's going to show you where this came from. In verse 26, as Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed in the cities for chariots, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stone, and cedar made he to be as the sycamore tree that are in the vale for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt. And linen yards, the king's merchant renewed the linen yard at price. Remember, he said in 16, but he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt. Look where he got them horses from. He got them out of the land of Egypt. Right? And the chariot came up and went out of Egypt, 600 shekels of silver, and a horse for 150. And so for all the kings of the Hittites and for the kings of Syria, did they bring them out by their means. And this is what he did. This is the law that Solomon broke. Not only did he do that, but when you look right here in verse 17, it said, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. So when you look up in 1 Kings 11, he multiplied to himself the 700 wives. And what happened when Solomon got old, it said that his heart turned away from the Most High, and he started making altars to all the his wives, God, the Moabites and so forth in 1 Kings 11. So we see right here, 1 Kings 11, it talks about when he broke the law right here in Deuteronomy 17 and 17. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply himself silver and gold. Now we see the silver and gold in 1 Kings 10, right? And 1 Kings 11 is where he multiplied the wives unto himself. And then his heart turned away from the Most High, that he ended up sacrificing until his wife's deity. It says in 1 Kings 11, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go in unto them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. First, Deuteronomy 17:17 is this law right here. And he had 700 wives, princes, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. So this was the law that Solomon broke. Same thing. Deuteronomy 17, we're talking about in verse 16 and 17. Solomon multiplied horses unto himself, silver and gold, as well as his wives. So when a lot of females get to talking about, you don't supposed to have multiple wives, right? But according to that law that was referring to a king, that he said these women may take your turn your heart away from the Most High. And this is a testimony exactly what Solomon did when he broke that law. So why is it that women have a problem with men having multiple wives? And when you read Deuteronomy 25, 5 through 10, no, not Deuteronomy 25 and 10, in Exodus 21, 10 and 11, it said, if he take him another wife, he shall not diminish her for her food, her raiments, and her duty. And if he do these three things, then she shall leave with what she came with. A man can have as many wives as he can, as he choose to. It ain't said that he have to. It said if he take him another wife, that he shall not diminish her for her food, her raiments, and her duty. That man is obligated to take care of that second wife. But he cannot diminish the food, the raiments, and duty that comes to the first wife. It said, and if he do, then she shall leave with what she came with. She's obligated to leave her husband for him not upholding the responsibility of taking care of his first wife. So women have a problem. When they was talking about Deuteronomy 17, that was referring to a king that takes upon himself multiple wives from other nations, and that they end up leading his heart away from the Most High. So what you see according to that law in Deuteronomy 17, verse 16 and 17, exactly what happened in 1 Kings, the 10th chapter and the 11th chapter. The same thing what we see up in Deuteronomy 7, verse 25 and 26 is what happened in Joshua, the 7th chapter. Achan took something that he was not supposed to take. The same thing what we see when the Most High told us not to make a covenant with our enemy is the same thing what Joshua did in Joshua, the 9th chapter and the 10th chapter. And see, the thing is, you got to understand. Look what our people doing today. That's everything against the law. That's everything against the law. You multiplying wealth unto yourself if you're not giving it to the Most High. Now look what David did versus what Solomon did. Because when it came down to David was completely different versus than what Solomon did. Right? When you read about David, when he conquered the nations, David didn't multiply the silver and gold unto himself. You'll read that David gave it to the Most High. He said, don't even weigh it. Just give it to the Most High. That's what he did. So this is how an example why we supposed to walk in the ways of David, right? So in 2 Samuel the 8th chapter, the title of this is called David Reigns Over Israel. And I'm gonna start from the top. And it said, and after this it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them. And David took Methegamah out of the hand of the Philistines, and he smote Moab and measured them with a line, casting them down to the ground. Even with 2 lines measured, he put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servant and brought gifts. David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rahab, king of Zobah, as he went to recover his borders at the river Euphrates. And David took from him 1,000 chariots. Listen to what he did. He said, and this is the same thing according to the law in Deuteronomy 17. And David took from him 1,000 chariots and 700 horsemen and 20,000 footmen. And David held all the chariots' horses, but reserved them for 100 chariots. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David slew of the Syrians 22,000 men. Then David put garrisons of Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David and brought gifts. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. Check this out. And David took the shield of gold that were on the servant of Hadadezer, right, and brought them to Jerusalem, and from Betah and from Baratha, city of Hadadezer, King David took exceeding much brass. When Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer, then Toi sent Joram his son unto King David to salute him and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and smitten him. For Hadadezer had war with Toi, and Joram brought with him vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass. Now listen to what David did, which also King David did. Look, David did this. He said in verse 11, he said, which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord with the silver and the gold, and he had dedicated all nations where he subdued, of Syria and Moab, and of the children of Ammon, and of the Philistine of Amalek, and of the sport of Hadadezer, son of Rahab, king of Zobah. And David got him a name when he returned from smiting the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. And he put garrisons in Edom throughout all Edom of the garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servant. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. And David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people. Now, look at the different verses what Solomon did to verses what David did. Did David multiply silver and gold unto himself? He said right here in verse 11, he said he dedicated it unto the Lord with the silver and the gold that he had dedicated of all nations which he subdued. So every nation that David subdued, that he took silver and gold and brass from them, it was dedicated and given to the Most High. Solomon had put those silver and gold and made them in the house, in the temple. This is why the Most High was displeased with Solomon. So again, look what's going on in today's society in modern time. You get money, and the only thing you want to do is build wealth. You don't think about the Most High, you only think about yourself. This is what the Most High is displeased with Israel. And again, just like he said in Numbers 16:22, when one do wrong, he said he'd be rough with the whole congregation. Hezekiah did the same thing, and here we go, 2 Kings and 20. Isaiah asked him, what did you show him? He said, I showed him everything. Right? Right here, I'm gonna start at and when you look at verse 11, I start in verse 10. And Hezekiah answered, "It is a light thing for the shadows to go." Not that we talking about right here in 12. At that time, Berodach Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters in the present unto Hezekiah, for he had heard that Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah hearkened unto them to show them all the house of his precious thing, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men, and from where came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country, even from Babylon. And he said, What have thee seen in thy house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in my house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Most High. Behold, the days come that all that is in thy house and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, said the Most High. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. And you know who Hezekiah's sons was that was eunuchs up in Babylon? It was Daniel, Azariah, Mishael, and Hananiah. The same prophecy where Isaiah said in verse 18, and thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Now watch this. These are Hezekiah's children, right? The prophecy right here. And Daniel's 1, right? Not only was Manasseh the son of Hezekiah, but Daniel, Mishael, Azariah, and Hananiah. And Daniel 1 right here, we can read from the top. And the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with parts of the vessel of the house of God. Same thing what he said that they was going to carry away, the silver and gold. Everything that was in Hezekiah's house was going to be carried away to Babylon. This is the prophecy right here. And he said, and God was he carried into the land of Shinar, the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasurer's house of his God. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs. Now watch this. This is dealing with the eunuchs, right? That he shall bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning and knowledge and understanding, science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, on whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end of thereof they might stand before the king. Now among these was the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Now Isaiah said again right here in 18, and of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. The children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names, For he gave unto Daniel the name of Belshazzar, and Hananiah, Shadrach, and Mishael, Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. But Daniel purposed in his heart he would not eat of the king's meat, right? Because this one says, again, I want to show you what he said that he had issue at. Because it tells you these was the sons they had the issue what you look up in the law. I'm gonna have to find that. He went to 2 Kings 20:18 and verse 19. So these are the ones that he was referring to in Daniel 1, where he was talking about in 2 Kings 20, verse 18 and 19. So with this being said, right, now check this out. For our brothers and sisters who's dabbling in all the wealth, the fortune, the fame, the glory, for everybody that come from, like you said, the so-called African American that come from, that actually come from Jerusalem, that they are considered Hebrews. Look at the law that Israel is breaking each day. Our people are making contracts with our oppressor. Exodus 23 and 32 told you not to make a covenant with your enemy. But what Joshua did is the same thing what our people are doing today. When you look at the black preachers, the pastors, who go out here and get these 501c3s and think they preaching the word of God, and they're preaching the heathen's God, JC. Because this is not of the Most High. JC is not God. He's not the Son of God, and he's not the Word of God. None whatsoever. So, with this being said, the word is given in the covenant to show that in Exodus 23 and 32, our people are constantly making covenants with our enemy that goes against the laws of the Creator. And then the thing is, Israel is multiplying wealth to themselves and taking things that don't belong to them. Father in Deuteronomy 7, verse 25 and 26. And it shows another part in Deuteronomy 17 about what the kings are not supposed to do as well. Same thing. So, if people feel as though in order to survive that you got to take from others and you got to sell your soul and not rely on the Most High, again, Jeremiah 17 and 5 says what? Thus saith the Lord. Cursed be to man that trusts in man and make flesh his arm, and whose whole heart depart from the Lord. You put your trust in man, but you refuse to trust in the Most High. And these are the things what we're dealing with today. That our people can't seem to get it right and understand what laws are we quote unquote are to do and what not to do. The ones that is permitted, that's given to us, the children of Israel, to obey. Ain't nobody that you want to sit up here and tell me that you done did so-called 613 laws when all the laws is not pertaining to the children of Israel, when the Most High said speak to Aaron and his son according to the laws that's permitted by the Most High to give to the Levites. And there was laws given to the children of Israel themselves. The children of Israel cannot do the laws of the Levites. So it's allowed when these camps, this camp called True Nation, this brother say he keep all 613 laws. You're not a Levite. If you claim to be from Judah, you have no business in the temple. So for our people who not think about their God, David, every time he went to war, and he took from the heathen and he gave to his God. Now look what David did versus what Hezekiah and Solomon did. They are an instrument of what not to do versus what David, what we are to do. So I appreciate brothers and sisters that tune in and watch the video. Again, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, get them thumbs up. Man, make your comments, whether it be good or bad. And you know what? I ain't gonna lie, I don't like the negative response where they come down to brothers that like to troll. Because this brother Leo was constantly coming on here and asking about Genesis 49, 10 and 12. And the thing is this, if that's the only scripture that you got to validate Judah, and I'm talking about David, how can you even have a conversation with people that are what we call one script wonders? That's all you talk about. Get your weight up, man. Get your weight up. Again, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate bring them comments and share. Just share the videos. I appreciate it. Again, I look forward to brothers and sisters coming out and building with me, learning the word, keeping the laws of the Creator. And this day and time that people might not care about the laws, but I guarantee you, World War III hits. You have no choice but to turn back to the Creator and to the covenant. And if you don't turn back to the covenant, hey, it's a done deal. For those people who refuse to hearken unto the word, what the Most High said, he who turned his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer will become an abomination. So we look forward to World War III and see who our people going to run to, whether they're going to run to a man or are they going to run to their Creator. Yep. So with that being said, I appreciate the people that did tune in. Thank God and bless you. And hey, man, we need to get these words up and get together and get right with our Creator and Heavenly Father. So with that, I'm going to tell you again, praise the Most High. I respect to King David. And I say to y'all, peace.